If you're having trouble with mathematics, numbers getting problematic, don't you panic. Check MathWiz, the best math tutor on the planet. From fraction to algebra, simple maths, add up some trigonometry into that. Learning math is fun with MathWiz, and that's a fact. We're rooting for you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to MathWiz Academy. If it is your first time joining me here, welcome. I do hope that you will enjoy today's video. If you are a return watcher, I hope today's video will also be useful to you, and that you would have watched, the previous parts, and that, you continue to build these foundation skills. So we're still on solving equations, and the other videos we focus more so on linear equations. But what happens if we get, and it's really a quadratic, but we don't want to go fully into what you are probably used to as a quadratic. But let's say you are solving an equation that has a square in it, right? How do we handle that? Well, the first thing we want to speak about is how do we find the square root of a number, because that's going to be a useful skill in solving these problems. So for example, let us say we had the square root of 4, and how do I know, or why am I saying square root? Because of this symbol here that I am now putting in green, right? So that symbol is the square root. So the square root of 4 is what number when multiplied by itself, and another way to say what number multiplied by itself is squared. So we're saying what number when squared gives 4, and your answer would be 2. So just so that you can see that, if you look, I have 2 squared, which is 2 multiplied by itself, right? So 2 times 2 is what would give me 4. And since 2 squared gives me 4, so it's almost as if we're going in this way, right? So since 2 squared gives me 4, it therefore means the square root of 4 gives me 2, right? So similarly, just putting another example there so that you can see. So 3 squared, which is 3 times 3, not 3 times 2. So 3 times 3 would give us 9. Therefore, if you wanted to find the square root of 9 is going to be 3. So I'm going to do a few more examples like this so that you can go ahead and see all of them, and then we'll go through and work our first example. So continuing with the pattern, so we would simply have that 4 squared is 16. Therefore, if you wanted the square root of 16, it would be 4. And hopefully you are picking up the pattern. So similarly, 5 squared is 25. So the square root of 25 is 5. 6 squared is 36. And so the square root of 36 would be 6. I've given them to you up to 10 squared, but usually I would say it's pretty good to know even up to about 13 squared. So you can go ahead and fill those in. All right, so now that you have this down, I think we are ready to do our first question for today. Okay, so for our first example today, we are going to look at if x squared is equal to 49, and we are asked to solve for x, what do we do? Now, in the first set of videos that we would have done, we'd have spoken about how, the addition, if you take it to the other side, it will become subtraction. If you have subtraction and you take it to the other side, you will add. If you have something multiplied and you take it to the other side, you divide. If something is divided, when you take it to the other side, you multiply. So for this example, or this video rather, those questions that have the square, to remove the square, you are going to use the square root. So by that I mean, to get rid of that square, or to reverse the square, you are going to apply the square root to the other side. Now, if you go back to the first part of this video where I gave you the different square roots until you learn them for yourself, we would see that the square root of 49 is 7. So again, to get rid of the square, we use the square root. So for our second example, let's say we had x squared is equal to 100 and we need to find or solve for x. So similarly, to get rid of the square, we have to apply the square root to the opposite side. And the square root of 100 is simply going to be 10. So you can go ahead and try. If x squared is equal to 25, I want you to solve for x. You can go ahead, pause the video, show you're working, and then you can press play to get the solution. All right, so provided you have worked that question on your own, so the square, to get rid of it, you are going to find the square root of the opposite side. And to find the square root of 25, if you look back in your list, you're thinking about what number when squared gives me 25, and that number is going to be 5. Okay, I do hope you found these videos useful. Of course, in the combination or the complex videos, we'll do some more things with these so that the question can get a little more complicated. But this is the foundation skill you need in order to move on to doing those complex questions. Of course, be sure to comment, be sure to like, subscribe, share with a friend. As usual, I'm rooting for you, and I will see you in the next video.